right. Welcome back, everybody, to the Marketing Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Sebastian Mancera. Well, first of all, guys, thank you for listening again. If you guys listened to last episode, we were talking about the 7 principles of story branding. And, we went really deep into what it means to be a brand, to develop a good brand, and why that's important. Now, what I like to do in my first meeting, one of my first meetings with my clients is I go over the 7 story branding principles, and the immediate logical next step would be to go over a little bit more in depth on the who. Now, if were thinking about the 7 principles of story branding, if you were going through and creating your own story for your brand, you would have realized that, as we mentioned last time, that your customer is, that the story is actually not about your brand, it's about your customer. Your customer is the hero in your story, and that is your brand's story. So, like I said, the logical next conclusion would be, okay, so if the customer is the hero and the story that I'm writing revolves around my customer, then shouldn't I know my customer really, really well so that I can create one of the best damn stories that has my customer as the hero, like create one of the most epic novels ever written, so that way my customer just comes back and back. And well, besides even that, like before we even get to that part, your customer will see themselves and relate with this story, with the hero of the story, and they will become these raving fans. And that's what I tell my clients is that you don't want customers, you want raving fans. You want people that are loyal. You want people that'll die for you. I mean, not really, but they'll do a lot for you. And people are loyal. I mean, we naturally have a propensity to be loyal. Like we're loyal to brands, loyal to people, loyal to family, loyal to friends, people that show us good faith and do good deeds for us, people that we like, people that we feel like we are like, we're loyal to them. And so that is what I want to focus on for this podcast, is the who. And how do we, first of all, I want to give you an understanding of how the who ties into branding, but also how do we go deeper? How do we extract, or how do I say this? I know how to say this. How do we create our customer personas? Duh. This is literally what I do in these meetings, in my meetings with my clients. I don't know how I lost this here, but so we create a customer persona. And so what I like to tell my clients is look at the last, no, not the last, look at your best top 10 top 10 interactions with your customers, top 10 sales, top 10 customers in general. Who are your top 10 customers? Who are the ones that, like, for instance, to jog their memory a little bit, I'll say, like, okay, who are the ones that found you? Even when you were just starting, who were the ones that found you? Who are the ones that not only found you, but then kept coming back? You kept seeing the same faces over and over again, right? And the people that would say, "Oh, I brought my friend in, I like your stuff so much. Hey, I brought my friend in to try it," right? That is who you need to study, like you're studying for the SATs, and they are the SAT. Okay? That you need to, and I'm sure you have more than just one of those. Of course, hopefully you have more than just one of those, because what we want to do is, like anything, get an average, and we need a lot of different of those same people to be able to kind of build this customer persona. So one way that I like to do this is I like to I ask them questions about, I try and jog their memory. First, I have them write down these people, and sometimes I know them by name. You know, sometimes they don't know them by name, but they know the interactions that they have with them, and they know the type of person they are, or the type that they are, or something like that. You know, something that we can create, like, and sometimes I even give them a name. You know, I'll say like, oh, that's the Nancys of the world, or the whatever, just based on what they tell me about these people. But that's the first thing that I like to do is, you know, extract from your customer base your 10 raving fans, the top 10 customers that you've had, and then look at those 10 customers, and one by one, and break down everything you can about them and the situation, or the transactions or interactions that you've had with them. Try and think about every little detail about these people that you can. You know, try and imagine whether they're conservative or democratic. Try and imagine whether they, are from the north or from the south. Try and understand what car they drove in, and, you know, what clothes they're wearing. Like, make a note of that. Make a note of, write down, any other clues as to any other details that you can possibly imagine. Just write it down. And this is how we start to build these customer personas. Now, as we're doing that, you'll start to like think of like commonalities too between them. And another really key important thing to write down is, visibly or from their feedback, how did your product or service make them feel? And then also, before they use your product or service, what is the reasoning that you can pull that they're coming to you? So, writing down all these things, all the clues about our customers, all the little details about our customers, how they might vote. It's not even about like their age or, you know, sex, really. It's more about a, how do I say this? Common behaviors. Now, just wanna let's before we get too carried away here, I wanna back up a little bit here, and I just want to point out some important things to note about why it's important to get really, really specific on the who. And so, again, the reason that we're extracting like our 10 best customers, our 10, best transactions, is because we want to specifically get to know and understand those 10. So if you've had 100, we only want to think about these 10% of the customers you've had so far. That's not to say that you're not going to, get all these other customers you've already been getting again. But let me tell you what the difference is, okay? Is that if you have 10 raving fans, they will buy your product and service over and over again. So it's going to be more efficient for you, because you don't have to market to get those customers again. They already been marketed, they already love you, and not only that, but they're going to spread the word for you. They will actually market for you, and they will bring people to your store, just because they like it so much. They want to share it with their friends and family. So that's a huge difference, and that's the whole point of branding. Just sorry to run off on a whole branding little tangent here, but that is the whole point of branding, and that is that we want to create raving fans that are going to be loyal, spread the word for you for free, and just keep you thriving and in business forever. So, all right, the who. Uh, this being specific is good, because not no brand can be all things to all people. It's like a light, a beam of light. And like, if you're just gonna spread it around everywhere, it might not be so powerful. But when you focus light, it turns into like a laser, and it can burn the hole through metal, right? So the more focused you are, the more powerful you are. And what that does is it makes you become a beloved brand. And that is exactly what I was talking about earlier about these raving fans. But before you know that you're a beloved fan, you have to know who you're beloved to. So now, the next thing that I wanted to bring up is knowing your experience of like how how your product or service is delivered to your customer or client. You're gonna start to understand like who you're designed for, because the way that you do things and the people that keep coming back and back and back to you, well, they're really liking the way that you're doing those things. And so you're creating this like unique type of experience that's attracting a certain type of people. So if you can, again, and those, there could be more than 10, 20, 30, but the point is that based on those customer personas, that's who you are going to be targeting over and over again. And you're getting real specific on those people. And let me give you some examples, okay? Some concrete examples. So let's think here of, okay. So, I mean, this is one that we all know, and we probably, some of those people listening here probably really like and appreciate, but Nike, the brand Nike, right? So, you know, commercials about Nike, especially back in the day, in like the 2000s and stuff, is like just do it. And, Michael Jordan and, just this feeling of that, of like anybody can do it, but it's not broad like that, oh, anybody will wear Nikes. It's the feeling that me or you, if we really put our mind to it and we focus and we hustle, we can do it. There's nothing that stops us. There's no barriers that says that you, because of the way you are, can't do it, and you, because of the way you can't do it. It's just more like, no, we can all do it. Just do it. Let's go. And that's kind of like, it's a good example because it seems broad, but it's really specific if you really think about it. It's for people that are, first of all, people that like sports, because obviously Nike makes shoes for sports. But it's people that are competitive, people that, are go-getters, all those types of like those experiential feelings are what makes Nike's brand relevant and resonate with that group of people. You know, for instance, me, I will always wear Nike. I'm always just doing it. I feel like I'm a walking, billboard for Nike sometimes. But I love their shoes. I love what they mean, and I see myself in the story. I see myself as the guy that's just doing it. I may not be like shooting hoops, but I'm working my butt off every day, waking up. I have consistency, schedule. I'm hustling. I'm focused, and I'm just going after it. And I feel like that's what Nike kind of means. So, and I mean, that's what it means to me. And that's what the advertisements scream to me. And that's why I'm a raving loyal fan of Nike. So look at yourself too, like the brands that you like, the things that you like, and try and explain to yourself why you like them. Try and explain to yourself, and be your own devil's advocate. Well, why don't I just get Reeboks? Why don't I just get Reeboks? What's the big deal? No, well, I don't want to wear Reeboks. Why? Because I don't even know what Reebok stands for. I don't even know. Yeah, I've seen them everywhere, but like, what does it mean to me? You know? So that's a huge, huge thing right there. So, who? WHU. Who? Okay, another example. Mountain Dew. Okay, this one's a little more, I think, seemingly narrower. So I didn't know this, but apparently Mountain Dew was a slang for like moonshine back in the day. But if you look at Mountain Dew, especially in the 90s, with their advertising and their branding, their messaging was, we are for, we are like the energy drink of like, you know, risk-taking young males that like extreme things, let's say, right? And of course, that's kind of like what their messaging was. You saw like especially with the phrase, do the do, and when would they say that? Well, it would be a guy that just, landed a huge jump on a dirt bike and comes up to a Mountain Dew right there, grabs it, takes his helmet off, and says, "Do the do," and alluding to jumping a huge hill on a dirt bike is doing the do. Well, I don't think, somebody that's scared of heights is going to be doing the do, right? So, doing the do became, like the drink for, like I said, those young. They focused on the young, risk taking, like extreme sport kids or guys or whatever, right? And the brand took off. I mean, they developed so many lines of dews, Mountain Dews, different flavors and stuff like that. I remember I saw it everywhere. And so that's one example there. Let's see. Another example would be, hmm, well, let's take a look here actually, because I found a really good example earlier. Okay. So here's an example from this book, which I will reference later, but it's Power Branding by Steve McKee, one of the best books for getting into branding or understanding branding better. Okay, so there's this example about Motel 6, and he explains how one of the best advertising campaigns was this Motel 6 campaign that it was the campaign that went with "We'll leave the light on for you," 7 word advertisement basically, and they attracted a bunch of different people, old people, business travelers, and families. Now think about this for a second, okay? That is like the entire population: older folks, families, and business travelers. We'll leave the light on for you. What is that? How can you, like, that's just so broad, right? Well, apparently, it appears that, and this is one thing that you're gonna see again. This is why I mentioned this earlier when you're taking down all your notes on your customer personas, is that there's gonna be a common thread, a common feeling, a common, what does he call it here? Well, something they all had in common. And what they all had in common was that these people they all had a self image of being frugal, which represents the common denominator that predicts their behavior regardless of age, income, traveling purpose, or any of 100 other things that make each guest different. Right? So when you're thinking about your who, you don't need to think like, okay, a lady that's, women in their 30s that have kids and, work as well, like working moms or whatever. No, it could be just like this Motel 6 example. It's older folks, families, business people, but what do they all have in common? They all see themselves as their self-images as these frugal, how do they put it here? Well, just being frugal. Their self-image of just being frugal. So that was the common thread between such diverse group of people, but it's that common thread, the essence of who these people are at their core, that is what attracts them or brings them to your brand. In this case, to Motel 6. So it's a genius ad campaign. And the reason why they were so successful is because they knew their people so well. And that's what I can't stress it enough. This should take you days to complete. You know, every day, think about it for a couple hours a day, hour a day, and just start jotting down everything that comes to mind. And then the next day, do it again until you know these people like as if they were your best friend. Okay, so moving forward here, another thing that I want to talk about is the experience that you are giving these customers is designed for a unique type of person. And when you have a well-defined profile, that goes beyond demographics, like we just mentioned here with this Motel 6 example, then that experience, in this case, if it's the Motel 6 example, I would say that the experience is knowing that no matter what you're going to get there, it's a great, place that they always leave the light on for you, but it's a good price. It's a good rate, it's reasonable, but very, very good for, you know, I guess these hotel goers, whatever. But that experience, whether, again, the chicken or the egg, right? Whether the experience is something that you designed and attracted, or sometimes it can happen where, you didn't necessarily start out with this experience you're offering or this way that you're doing things, but somewhere along the way you developed this with like these customers that came in and kind of like maybe made you kind of gravitate that way, or you know slowly kind of started gearing you in that direction. But that experience is what's going to be, that experience is what's going to help you to narrow your focus on repeating that same experience once you have your well-defined customer profiles. I like to call them customer personas, customer profiles, same thing. A lot of times people will ask, well, why why do I want to be so focused on like just this type of person, you know? And I tell them, well, look, it's not about whose business you'll accept. It's about whose business you seek. Okay, so again, we're sh- we're shifting our focus from our business and what we can do and this and that. We already learned that last time. Now we're shifting it onto not only our customer but like our best customers. And we're going to, by pulling out and extracting this, well, first of all, by understanding these customers with our customer profiles, we're going to then extract these common threads, or different experiences and ways that these people are like similar, and we're going to speak to them, speak to that, just like Motel 6 did a great job of speaking to the frugal ones out there. Okay. And it's important because varying behavior, leanings, and lifestyles, they lead them, your customers to gravitate towards you, and when you're able to pull out those things from your customers, your raving fans, pull out the commonalities, the common threads, and when you use that as the basis for all of your advertising and your marketing, you're going to just attract those same people that are basically the same as your raving fans. So they're going to more easily come to you. You're going to see that you're going to make more sales easier and faster because a raving fan is much better than, just a regular customer. And actually, there's a really good quote for this. Um, oh, I think it goes, I can't find it here, but I think it goes, it's better to be something for somebody than anything for everybody. And I mean, you see this all the time. Look at, I guess, CVS and Walgreens. Does it really matter which one of those you go to when you need something? Excuse me. Excuse me. Does it really matter which one of those you go to when you need something? Or is it mostly like which one's on the side of the road that you happen to be on or the closest, right? Versus, somebody like this Motel 6 example, between going to a regular motel or seeking and finding where the Motel 6 is on the way and making sure that that's the place that, you know, they stop for the night. And that's what I'm getting at here. So, again, I can't stress it enough. Know who your audience is. Know them like the back of your hand, and try and do everything that you can to recreate the experience that you're giving or not that you're giving to that group of people, but the experience you're creating that resonates what most with this group of people. You do it again and again and again. Okay? And that's how you're going to build a solid brand. Now, another quote, actually, it's from this book. Just want to, hit home with this one here. Finish this off, is that the narrower your target, the greater the intensity of your brand's appeal. And that is what builds your brand equity. The more intense your appeal is, that's going to be like the more money and equity, well, not really money and equity, but the more equity that your brand has. It's almost like a magnet. The bigger the magnet, the more it will attract. And you can just imagine what that will mean for your pocketbook. Now, one last thing that ties into the who is the what. So, again, remember that when you're looking at creating your story brand, when you're looking at, you know, building a marketing campaign, you have to remember that it's not about you. It's always about the customer's perspective. So yes, they're the hero, and not only are they the hero, but let's look at what commonalities all these heroes have that are my raving fans, so that I can speak to them and I can attract more of those same exact people. But to go a step further, when you find that common thread and you're able to extract it and get it out there and express it and give it meaning, you're going to create this sense of belonging. It's almost like, let's go back to Nike. I see somebody wearing Nike, a pair of Jordans or whatever. It's almost like instantly we can kind of like at least relate on that level. And not only that, but I can probably, I assume that that person's like me. They're a go-getter. They live this lifestyle of just do it. No fear. Just go for it. Step outside the box. Push yourself to the limits. Just do it, right? So I assume that person is like that. So there's like this sense of like belonging, that we're like this group of people that are like that. Not everybody's like that. Like I said, Reebok, I don't even, sure, I see somebody wearing Reebok, I don't know anything about them. They don't belong in my group, but all my friends, all the people that I associate with and hang around, we all wear Nike, and we believe in Nike, and we love Nike. So we have like this group, we create like this, Nike's created like this cult like following. And it's true. I mean, you see people buying and reselling these shoes, sometimes for astronomical prices, but it's because there's this culture there, there's this belonging, it's a natural human thing to want, to belong. So taking this a step further would then be, and how we can actually do it would be, so you sit there and you take your 10, 20, whatever you want to do, and you get your common thread of all those customers, and you start to understand the experience that is making them gravitate towards you, or like what the essence of it is, like whether they're frugal or whether they're like Nike and they just want to do it and they're go-getters, risk takers, whatever it is. When you're able to do that, pull that out, and then you create this kind of like us versus them, where it's like, it's us go-getters versus the world. It's you're gonna create again. I mean, yeah, raving fans, but cult like following, whatever you want to call it. The truth of the matter is that it's a natural human. You know, uh, we have a natural. It's natural. It's human for us to want these things. It was like, you know, programmed in our minds for survival back in the day. But it's important, and if you can do this with your branding, then you will make these things click in here, and again, you will have raving fans that love you, that are loyal, and they will go after you. They will find you wherever you are. And one last thing, I know I keep saying one last thing, I just always have another thought that I think is important to this point, is so we got the who, now we got the what, and one thing with the what is when you find out that thing that makes your customers these loyal, raving fans, you have to make sure that you are internally aligned and that you are with that. In other words, that, you know, Nike one day, let's say you see one of their stores with like depressing like posters on the wall of like sad things or like people not making it, or you know things like that. It wouldn't make sense, right? Because that's not what Nike's about. So you have to make sure that once you do figure this out, it's almost like you have to do a rebranding, like a refresh of everything, because you have to, once you have extracted the who and the what, and that's what's going to be your messaging through everything, through your website, through your phone scripts, through your sales pitches, through your follow-ups, email marketing, any way that you interact with your customers. This has to be aligned, like with everything you're doing has to exemplify what you're speaking and what you're saying. Like it's almost like the saying, you got to walk the walk and talk the talk. You can't just, or yeah, you can't just talk the talk and not walk the walk, right? So this has to be, this is everything from your employees to every piece of communication. And a lot of times what I tell my clients is they tell me, oh well, I'm making my new business cards, or oh I'm redoing my website right now. I always say, well, look, why don't you save yourself some time and let's just go through this process, because at the end of it you're gonna realize like, oh, that's who I need to be speaking to, and that's what they want to hear, and that's why they come to me. And then those people will resonate, relate with other people that like my stuff because of this and this. And so now I have this group of Jims, or this group of Nancys, that I'm gonna just attract and keep attracting. So if I would have made my website before I understood my customers on a deeper level, understood the what, and understood these experiences that I'm creating, I would be just putting out a random message out there that, yeah, sure, it might work, but it's not gonna get me where I really want to be. And that is to be something for someone out there, not anything to anyone. I want to have my raving fans coming back over and over and over again, sharing me with their friends and being loyal to my brand. I think it's like all you need is like 1,000 loyal fans to be a multi-million dollar company. Don't quote me, but I think it's something like that. And And that's exactly what we're talking about. We don't need to get everyone. And, this is all scalable. I mean, this is all depending on what scale you're at. You can be saying this, but you have like 500,000 customers, or you can say this and do this and you only have 500 customers or 50 customers. The point is that you are narrow on who you're going for, who's seeking you. That's what you're focused on, is the ones that are seeking you. And that way you can, with your marketing, you'll be more like a magnet, as opposed to like having to go out there and just talk to as many people as possible, so that finally like law of numbers like works, and then you realize that, okay, well, I talked to 100 people, you know, and then only like 20% of those 20 people like, gave me the time of day, and then only 10 of those people bought, and all this stuff. Like, no. With this type of marketing, with understanding your brand and this brand strategy or development, you're going to become the magnet. And you don't need to go out there and pitch the same thing over and over again, like a monotone, whatever, I don't know the word, but pitch it over and over and over again to see who bites. You're going to say what you need to say, and the people that hear it are going to come straight to you. In fact, it's not even the people that hear it. What you're going to say is only going to touch the ears of the right people, and they're going to come straight to you. No more of this throwing the big net casting. We're going to get super focused, laser focused. What I call this is the secret sauce. And this is how we develop. This is the recipe for your secret sauce. And it starts with your customers, the who, the heroes of your brand's story. All right. So thank you guys. I'm going to wrap it up now. I hope you guys got some value out of this. Again, take some time every day and analyze and jot down every piece of information that you can about your client, or your best clients, your best transactions, your best clients. Write down all the things you can about them, and then put yourself in their shoes. Stop wearing the business owner hat. Stop, tooting your horn and like unknowing how great you are at everything you do, because your business is amazing. We get it. Stop that and put your customer's hat on. Erase everything you think you know. Put their hat on and just live through them. Experience everything they're experiencing. And with that, with your little details of all of them, you're going to find that commonality. You're going to find that common thread that ties them all together, whether they're old, young, business people, families, whatever it is, you're going to find it. And that is the key ingredient to your secret sauce. And that's what we're going to keep developing as we go. So I will look forward to you guys, to seeing you guys next week, where we will we will actually move on to the next part of the secret sauce formulation, or branding, as it's really called, but or brand development. But thank you so much again for listening, and I'll see you guys soon.